Welcome back to Behind the Caution Tape. I'm your host, CrashLit. It was a busy week in USC athletics last week, and we got another busy week coming up. So let's dive into all of it right here, right now, on Behind the Caution Tape. And before we do, quick update about JuJu Watkins, who had an announcement that she made on her Instagram story last night regarding her ACL injury that happened in the second round of March Madness last year and what she plans to do. And she announced that she will be sitting out the entire 2025-26 season to focus on her recovery. Watkins put out a statement on her Instagram, which is, and I quote, "These last few months have been filled with a lot of healing, rest, and reflection. Recovering from this injury hasn't been easy, and I want to say thank you. Your love, support, and kind words have truly lifted me up during one of the most challenging times in my life. Because you've been with me every step of the way, I wanted you to hear it from me directly that, following the advice of my doctors and trainers, I will sit out this season and fully focus on continuing to recover so I can come back to the game I love. I'm incredibly thankful for my family, teammates, coaches, the USC training personnel, Jason, Shane, and everyone who's continued to support me every day through this journey. I'm excited to keep putting in work to come back even stronger." And so while it's definitely going to be a blow to USC this year to not have Watkins, I definitely fully do not blame her at all. Completely support her decision to sit out and focus on getting healthy, especially just with how tough of an injury it is. I think she'll have an even better comeback when she is back for her senior year. And plus, USC does still have some exciting playmakers coming in, most notably with Jazzy Davidson as an incoming freshman, as well as transferred London Jones, who came over from UCLA. So USC still, I think, is going to be a very competitive team. Obviously, Watkins is a blow. There's no denying that. But I still think this team can still have a great year. They obviously have a great culture. Lindsey Gottlieb's doing great things, and obviously she mentioned herself that she completely stands by Watkins and her decision statement that she put out last night following Watkins' announcement. But pretty much I just wanted to bring that news to y'all before we really dive into everything, just especially with just how much, JuJu Watkins just made women's basketball at USC so fun to be at. Those games just been so electrifying over the last 2 years, especially just with how well they've done. 2 conference championships, back-to-back Elite Eight appearances. I still think this team can have a really special year. It'll definitely be a little bit tougher. But still, obviously, Lindsey Gottlieb went out and got some big playmakers. So I'm really excited to see what they bring. So they'll have their media days on October 8th and 9th in Chicago. And then the first game of the year will be at home against New Mexico State on November 4th at Galen Center. And before we get into football, I do have some deals still come out. And I do get commissions off these. But the first one is Harpoon Brewery e-store. Be sure to shop Harpoon, discover the freshest brewery apparel, unique glassware, and must-have souvenirs straight from Harpoon Brewery. Use my promo code CrashLit and get 25% off any order. Go to shop.harpoonbrewery.com to order. So let's now dive into football, where USC had a very tough 34-32 loss to the Illinois Fighting Illini on Saturday morning. So obviously there were some injuries. You had Kamari Ramsey out due to food poisoning, and then DeCarlos Nicholson was cramping, and then Elijah Page was out. Jacoby Lane only was able to play a few snaps. He's still recovering. Hopefully he's back in time for Michigan. And Elijah Page was out, not to mention also Killian O'Connor went down as well. So a lot of injuries going around. And then you still have Alex Graham ramping back up. So it's really tough to obviously talk. So it's really, USC definitely did have some issues, but still it was like, for the most part, Jade Mayava had 364 yards, went 30 for 43, had 2 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. Wayman Jordan led the way with rushing yards, 94 yards, 20 carries, 2 touchdowns. Makai Lemon had a career day with 151 receiving yards, 11 receptions, and 2 touchdowns. So overall, the offense played really well. Obviously, there were some times where there were struggles for sure. by the Trojan offense. But that just is what happened. And obviously, there were some frustrating things, especially after O'Connor got injured and DeAndre Reed came in. And that was definitely a little frustrating when Reed came in, especially when he turned himself into an ineligible receiver downfield on that really impressive trick play that Mekhi Lemon scored on that ultimately got wiped out. And I think that's just frustrating because it wasn't like, oh, he was in a trying to battle someone out or was trying to help another teammate. He was like he just floated down there, like it was kind of clueless. And I think it's a little frustrating too when you think about the fact that they got that guy to try and win that starting center job. Like he was brought in for that job. Obviously, he got beat out by Killian O'Connor, and I'm super happy for O'Connor, especially because I've known him for years, especially his story as a former walk-on. Like you gotta love it. And he beats out DeAndre Reed. But what this just shows is that obviously they made it seem like it was a really close competition. It may have been, but it seems like stuff like that is like ultimately probably got O'Connor the job. Stuff that's like you are being disciplined, especially with penalties really plaguing this team. And then obviously you had the bad snap too that probably cost USC a play right there at the end of the second half, or at least another chance at a touchdown. So it's definitely frustrating on some of those drives, but still, like to just see that, really hoping O'Connor's okay. Obviously, was returned to the sideline in street clothes after exiting, so hope he's okay. But USC really is definitely going to need to clean up the penalties too, and then the defense, especially with Ramsey out, the secondary struggled, and then DeCarlos Nicholson. I hope he's all right because him cramping ultimately, I think, was really, ultimately had some struggles. Yeah, the secondary struggled, especially with DeCarlos Nicholson. Lost my train of thought for a sec. Was really, struggling with cramps. And then ultimately at that final end drive, which we'll talk about in a sec, you really saw that him get replaced by DJ Harvey. And Joel Klatt, the color analyst for the Fox broadcast, pointed this out when he and Gus Johnson were talking about it. Was Klatt just said this, and that caught my eye. And he said pretty much that if Luke Altmaier is smart, he's gonna see who they replace Nicholson with, and then target that guy, make that guy beat you. And that's literally what he did. Illinois did, and it worked. So but that just shows like you just see who they're replacing, especially when you've had a secondary that's been struggling all day. So I thought that was a really, I mean, it's definitely painful play, but smart to see. And then obviously Illinois had the time, given that SC scored right after the 2-minute timeout and left a minute 55. And I know people were saying, "Oh, bad clock management." And okay, I get like, and I do get what Lincoln Riley was saying. Like sometimes when you have those chances to score, you want to, but then also the question is when your D's been struggling all day, are you going to risk it and basically let them run down the clock? But it is trickier too because it wasn't like, oh, you got to just kick a field goal. You had to score a touchdown. That's a lot harder to do. You got to get further down the field, and it's a much harder thing to pull off. Whereas if it was just a field goal, you definitely want to run that clock down. But possibly could have maybe run a play or two. So it's just hard to, it's definitely a tricky one to assess. But then obviously, the offense looked pretty good for the most part. Mayava did have some struggles. Definitely after Reed came in, it did look like there were times where I thought Mayava was just scrambling, and that's not his. That's not when he plays his best. When he's got to kind of scramble for his life. He's not like Caleb Williams, where he just kind of makes plays out of nothing. He's better. He can run for sure, and he's capable of it. Great dual threat quarterback. That's what I really like about him. But he plays better he plays better within the structure of the offense, not when he has to go kind of scramble and make something out of nothing. But overall, yeah, it's a tough game overall. 34-32 loss, like I said. So obviously they were just missing a lot of guys too. So hopefully they can use this off week that they got coming up before facing Michigan to get everyone healthy and just try to get a few more guys back because obviously having guys out is really big for this team right now, especially on the defense, especially when the offense has been doing well and then people are getting frustrated with the defense, especially after just, you keep Danton Lane, you sign this contract extension, and then things are still struggling. So with the loss, USC fell out of both the AP and coaches poll. They're now dropped to 4-1 on the year, 2-1 in Big Ten play. So they got the off week, and then they'll face Michigan in a sold-out Coliseum on October 11th, and the game time was announced about not even half an hour ago as of recording for 4:30 p.m. and you can watch it on NBC. So we'll have another evening game, which will be honestly kind of nice. So be a sold out game. I'll definitely talk more about it. So I'm really excited for that game. It'll especially be a big revenge game for SC after what happened last year in Ann Arbor. I'm really excited for this one. I'll be there for sure. So definitely, yeah, I'll have some lot to talk about it. I'll definitely break it down more next week. Then one other topic I do want to talk about was just the whole thing with everything that happened last week. I think right after I signed off, I started seeing stuff about USC and Netflix trying to get the Notre Dame game played at a neutral site. So sites that were suggested when this is first reported by John Alrend at Puck News was, and it sounded like it kind of got leaked out last week, was Netflix tried to get around the broadcast media rights of both Notre Dame with NBC and USC with the Big Ten and its media partners of Fox, CBS, and NBC to try to get the game on a neutral site, trying to see, oh, if it's out of there, but it was quickly shot down by the Big Ten. And it seems like, obviously, while it seems like a cool idea, I'm just, like I've said, you got to just play the game, alternate each year. Don't try to do anything fancy with it. Like, I know people probably have probably hated on me, and I fully will accept the hate for these ideas of saying, oh, USC should do, wear all black uniforms, or have some alternate jerseys, or, oh, like, why aren't we playing an FCS school? Literally everyone else is like, those things like that fans get stuck up on. I will take the heat for them. I will own them. I'm happy to talk about them with any of you. So if you want to discuss that at any point, I'm happy to have those conversations. But when it comes to Notre Dame, and like I've said, especially after talking to Petros Papadakis on Behind the Caution Tape in the season 2 premiere, which I all very much encourage you to listen to, it is pretty clear. I just really was like, yeah, USC and Notre Dame, that tradition has got to stay. Like, you won't sway me on that one. So just wanted to bring that up. And another offer I got is from Lakier. Lakier gummies combine DMH, milk thistle, B vitamins, and ginger to help your body recover after drinking. They fight fatigue, nausea, and dehydration, so you wake up feeling refreshed. Try them for faster recovery. Enjoy an exclusive discount with my promo code. You get 20% off when you use the promo code CrashLit and go to lakier.com to order. We'll now move into women's volleyball, who went 1-1 on the road last week. They lost at number 15 Penn State 3-2 in a match that went to 5. It was 25-13, 25-22, 19-25, 19-25, 15-13. Penn State on Friday night in State College. So Danya Famuina led the way with 11 kills. Abigail Mullen led with 4 aces. Leah Ford with 8 blocks. Reese Messer had 37 assists. And yeah, Messer also, yeah. And so USC just really got blown out in the first set and then played better as the match went on, more competitive set 2. And then one sets 3 and 4 and was going blow for blow with Penn State in the 5th set, but ultimately got a little too far behind and ultimately lost it, but still kept it really close. But still, that first set's definitely really tough, and it made everyone worry like, oh, is this going to be a long night? But fortunately, or could this be a tough night? But obviously USC played well, and I mean they've proven they can compete with the best teams. I mean they took out Creighton, and that's no easy feat. I mean, granted they were at home, but still, USC's facing some good teams. You're going to face good teams in the Big Ten for volleyball, so you got to come with your A game every night. Then USC did rebound the following night with a sweep over Ohio State. It was 25-23, 25-22, 25-15. So London Weejay led with 18 kills. Mullen had 5 aces. So Mullen just went off with the aces. Messer had 3 blocks, also had 34 assists. And then Gala Trubant had 16 digs. So Ohio State played well, the USC in the first set. really competitive, took the lead a couple of times. Credit to SC for really staying to not letting him take a set, and then they ultimately just wore him down and pulled away in the third set. So obviously USC did seem to have some people out, like Taylor Deckert was out sick, and Gala Trubant was at libero after having played defensive specialist for most of the year. And then Danny Thomas Nathan had her first start of the year at outside defensively. And then we'll see what happens, especially with some of these position battles. They still seem to be going on with Adanya Famuina and Brooklyn Teeler still battling for that final outside hitter spot. And three middles of Leah Ford, Riley McGinnis, and Mia Taverdi all seem to be pretty equal footing on for those two middle spots. So Brad Keller really trying to rotate and see what he's got. But obviously the big thing for this team that I've seen is just they got to clean up the service errors better, but still definitely some that are just like a little bit head scratching for me. So USC now 10-2 on the year, 1-1 in Big Ten play, and likely to drop a couple spots in the poll this week. So up next, they will come back to Galen for this week for their Big Ten home opener against Indiana, who's off to a red hot start. They're 11-1 overall, 2-0 in Big Ten play. And that game will be on October 3rd at 7 p.m. on Big Ten Plus. Then the following night, SC's got Purdue, who is 10-2 on the year's and 10-2 overall, 1-1 Big Ten play at 6:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. So Jessie Smith, the twin sister of former USC middle blocker Katie Smith, is now at Indiana. And then the big one that I've got for the Purdue game is the return of Lindsey Miller. Miller played her last 3 years of college at USC before transferring to Purdue for her graduate year. As some of you who've been listening know, I interviewed Lindsey right about a month ago, right prior to the start of the season. It was a great conversation, but I'm going to play this soundbite for you of just how hell-bent Lindsey Miller is on winning this week against USC.
I've actually been texting people about it. Like girls on the team right now. I was just talking to Danny. I was just talking to Brooklyn, and it's all friendly right now, you know. But I think maybe as we get closer to the day, it'll get a little bit more competitive sounding. But I'm simultaneously like really, really excited because all my friends are going to come to that game. You know, like I said, I love playing in that arena. Um, and I have nothing but, you know, like good feelings towards USC. So it's not like a weird like resentment going in, which I think sometimes people have to deal with when they transfer. But I have nothing but, you know, positive thoughts and goodwill towards those coaches and all those players and everything in that gym. So that makes it easier to go back to. And at the same time, I'm like, there's no way in hell I can lose this match. Like we have to win.
So yeah, you heard her. Yeah, she wants this one bad. So I'll be at that one for sure. It'll be a really exciting game. I think two good teams. Purdue was top 10. They did lose to UCLA, but still, I think they're going to be really good. Or, or no, Purdue lost to Illinois. Pardon me. That's who it was. But still, I think it's going to be a really good match between the two teams. Should be blow for blow, especially and then just plus with Lindsey Miller coming back. So she said she has no hard feelings, but still, it's always, it'll be interesting. It'll be a fun one for sure. So I'm really excited for it. So let's move on to soccer, who is now 6-3-1 on the year and 3-2 in Big Ten play after getting two big wins this year. They won 3-0 against Maryland on Thursday. So 3 goals with Maribel Flores scoring unassisted on a free kick, Katie Parks scoring a PK, and Hana Mizumoto scoring on an assist by Eleanor Morrissey. Belgress had one save and goal, and it was all USC. They had possession for 60% of the game, took 15 shots, and only allowed 4 shots on goal. So really impressive game by USC, especially after a tough game before in East Lansing against Michigan State, where the Trojans were blowing out 4-0. Then 3 days later, yesterday, they won 2-1 against Rutgers, with SC starting strong. So in the 6th minute, Jaden Anderson scored on an assist by Maribel Flores. In the 27th minute, Ines Darian scored, assisted by Alexandra Larson. And then the 77th minute, Rutgers did get on the board with a goal from Ali Post, assisted by Olivia Rosumano. And Did definitely make the game a little more intense as you saw Rutgers do try to regain a spark there, but SC was able to hold on and not allow goals. So impressive there. Gruss had 2 saves in goal. And USC, I think, rebounded really well after what was been a bit of a tough stretch for them to start Big Ten play. So up next, USC has one match this week. It'll be on Friday against Oregon, who is 2-7-3 and 0-3-2 in Big Ten play. That'll be at 1 p.m. on the Big Ten Plus. So USC needs to build off the momentum from this week and take it to Eugene, especially with the Ducks struggling and still looking for their first conference win. So we'll move to men's water polo now, who dropped to number 3 last week after losing to Cal in the overnight MPSF Invitational. And on Thursday, Bernardo Herzer, Robert Lopez Duarte, and Mihalio Vukazic were selected to the Coutinho Award watch list, which is the award given to the nation's best water polo player. So on Wednesday, the team had an exhibition versus a Shanghai water polo club, but no scores or stats were reported. And then they got back to action on Friday with a 14-7 win at Pacific with Robert Lopez Duarte leading with 4 goals. And Charlie Mills had 13 saves in the cage, played the whole game. So it's tied at the end of both the first and second, but USC just pulled away in the second half, outscoring the Tigers 5-1 in the third and 5-2 in the fourth. And then 2 days later, USC won 19-9 at UC Davis with Andrei Grigorovich and Vukazic leading with 4 goals each. And Mills had 8 saves, played the whole game. So 2 big wins, obviously. Sure, we'll see more Herzer, especially with conference play starting this week. When USC will go on the road, they'll face Stanford at 1 p.m. on Saturday, and then Cal on Sunday. The time has yet to be determined. Time is yet to be determined for that game on Sunday. But yeah, USC can beat Stanford again after beating them for 3rd place in the overnight MPSF Invitational and also get revenge on Cal. So the MPSF play starting, USC definitely wanting to start that strong, especially because those conference games are going to be really tough, really intense too, especially Stanford, Cal, and UCLA. And USC too. They're all really good teams. It's usually always one of them winning the national title every year. So men's golf will start in the Trinity Forest Invitational at Trinity Forest Country Club, which will be hosted by SMU from October 5th through 7th. So I'll bring you updates from that next week. So women's golf won the Golf Week Red Sky Classic in Wolcott, Colorado. That ran from September 22nd through 24th. Got first of 20 teams with the team collectively finishing 45 under par, 816 total score. And USC setting a new tournament record, 13 strokes better, and also a new school record by 6 strokes. And then it was a tie for first with Jasmine Koo and Kylie Chong tying for first, going 13 under par each, 203 total. In 7th was Elise Lee, 8 under par, 208 total score. 11th was Sarah Hammett, 5 under par, 211 total score. And tied 16th was Catherine Park, 3 under par, 213 total score. And because of their performance, Koo and Chong were named Big Ten Golfers of the Week, co-golfers of the week, and Hammett was named the Big Ten Freshman of the Week. So men's tennis took part in the Sherwood Invite in Thousand Oaks from September 26th through 28th, represented by Niels Hoffman, Jack McCarthy, and Pablo Robledo were the 3 tennis players Trojans who went, with McCarthy and Robledo being newcomers, earning their first wins since arriving at USC. So next tournament for USC will be the SoCal Intercollegiate Championships from October 9th through 12th. So I'll bring you all updates on that in a couple weeks then. Women's tennis, there were 2 events that players were being sent to. There was the ITA All-American Championships from September 20th through 28th in Cary, North Carolina, where USC was represented by Emma Charney, Lily Fairclough, and Imi Haddad. And notable was Emma Charney earned her 2nd career NCAA singles championship berth with her performance this weekend. And then in the SoCal intercollegiate championships from September 25th through 28th in San Diego. USC was represented by Jana Hossam, Simone Kay, Eugenia Zozava, Danny Borrell, and Krisha Mahendran. So notable results there was Josiah and Mahendran both reached the singles final and will play each other, and Hossam reached the quarterfinals. And then Hossam and Mahendran are in the doubles finals as well. So cross country took part in the UC Riverside Invitational on September 27th. Had a tough going out there, finished 23rd of 24th team of schools in the first 6K race of the season. So those individual results were Holly Press finishing with a time of 21:44.5 in 94th. 108th was Jacqueline Duarte, who was 21:51.3. Then was Holly Spuden, who finished 22:19.9. 188th is Bella Duarte, 22:49.1. And 212th was Paige Unger, 23:50.6. So USC is up next, added another race to the season with the Pomona Pitzer Invite in Claremont on Saturday, which will start at 8:30 a.m. So final bit of news I got is lacrosse has their first fall ball game on Saturday at San Diego State. If there are any scores or anything reported there, I will bring updates. But other than that, that is all for this week. So be sure to get also one more discount today. I offers 20% off to Big Fork Brands, which brings bold bacon sausage, paleo pork jerky, and Chicago-style sauces to your table. Enjoy rich, smoky flavors made with sustainable ingredients and chef-crafted care. Enjoy an exclusive discount with my promo code CrashLit. Find them at bigforkbrands.com. So last week I went 1-0 with just going to the soccer game. So I'm now 2-1-1 at soccer, 13-2-1 on the year, 324, 121, and 1 all time. So this week I'll be at women's volleyball on October 3rd and 4th. So that's going to do it for us here on Behind the Caution Tape. Thanks again for tuning in. Be sure to follow me on social media at CrashLit. I'll be posting updates, giving my recaps up there on my Instagram page. And be sure to like, subscribe to the podcast. Be sure to follow it, whether it's on video or audio. And if you see me at a game, happy to talk SC sports anytime. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. It's been fun doing this. I'll see y'all next week. Fight on.